On Aaron Rodgers and the 4-1 Packers, Detroit has won the last 4 games against Green Bay, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and the app. Our coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown at 6. Russell Wilson threw 2 TD passes and ran for 1, and the Seahawks rallied for a 32-28 win over the Browns. Cleveland was hurt by their own mistakes and couldn't overcome 4 turnovers, a blocked punt, or quarterback Baker Mayfield's hip injury, and fell to 2-4. Here's the Browns postgame.
Do you feel like this team is improving week to week?
I do. I do feel like we're improving, but you are what your record is. So you're 2-4. That's where we are right now.
Are you angry? Just sort of how?
Yeah, we lost. I'm pretty pissed. Yeah.
So you were angry at the start of this game then?
I mean, geez, guys, you're like my counselor right now. No, I mean, I try and get an edge. I'm not angry.
Dan back with us. Before we get into some Browns debate, here's what Rex Ryan had to say this morning on Get Up about Baker Mayfield after the loss.
The officiating was absolutely horrendous in that game. But Baker Mayfield, man, a game like that, you just threw 3 picks. How about you take some ownership? Quit deflecting it. Sit back and say, you know what? I have to get better in the thing. I like the way he started. Said it, should never be an excuse.
Right.
I have to get better. End of it. You're a quarterback. When it goes bad, say I. Just like a head coach would say, I have to look at this. I have to get better. He needs to do that. And when it goes well, it's we. He does just the opposite. When it's going bad, he's talking about we need to do this or pointing to the officials. And then if it's going good, it's I. You got it backwards. I was going to say another word, but I better not.
All right, there's Rex. Stephen A., is it time to admit that the Browns made a mistake with Freddie Kitchens?
I think so. And I want to be very clear about what I'm saying. I am not saying that Freddie Kitchens may not end up a good coach. I'm not saying that he doesn't have the potential to be a good coach. I am saying that at this point in time, when you look at the roster as presently constructed and the expectations that have been heaped on them because of what Baker Mayfield showed you last year, the addition of Odell Beckham Jr., Njoku and how he was expected to perform before he got hurt, Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb, who had a good game yesterday, etc., Kareem Hunt coming on 8 games in. When you consider all the things that have happened with this franchise, why would you put a rookie head coach in this position? That's what I'm challenging the Cleveland Browns on. I'm saying that when you look at the Cleveland Browns and you look at Dorsey and the moves that he made, Freddie Kitchens went from a positional coach to an offensive coordinator to a head coach in the National Football League inside of 12 months. When the hell does that happen? That simply does not happen. And so now to me, it's a sign of chickens coming home to roost, per se. Because what happens is that what you're seeing is a talented team who has the ability to explode, make noise, make things interesting. But when it comes to finishing the job, there's always a play here, an individual who was ignored, a particular play that should have been called, the discipline of the team, the focus, the mindset coming into the game, all of these different things that veteran coaches who have been around long enough can help alleviate. You don't have that because you have players learning how to play with one another for a coach who's literally learning on the job. So I just want to say that I think that Freddie Kitchens has potential. I've liked some of his play calling this early part of the season, despite the fact that some of it worked, some of it has not. But when I look at him, I look at a guy that is learning on the job. And you owe that to a roster like this. You owe it to them to have a more experienced coach in tow. And that's not what
I would say this, the early returns don't look good. We can't say they look good, but it's too early to say that they made a mistake. Look at what's going on with the Browns, and I look at John Dorsey. Whenever look, he got the big stuff really great, right? Like, oh my God, the skills position guys, look at this. By the way, on defense too, the skillful, the secondary of guys who, by the way, weren't playing yesterday because of injury. But you look around the roster, but the details seem to have escaped him so far, and maybe that's step 2. Maybe it's, look, let me get the big pieces right, and then we'll figure out the details as we move forward because they have a young roster. I give them the benefit of the doubt. But Kitchens was a questionable hire. It hasn't looked great so far. They barely lost to a very tough Seattle team, I might add. That was a tough game, and Seattle has 1 loss on the season. When GMs do the following, a lot of times it doesn't work out well, period. Certainly not in the beginning. You have a talented, special kind of offensive line player, not a sexy name. They swapped them out for a skills position guy. Doesn't go too well. I think about Max Unger for Jimmy Graham. What happened to the Saints? What happened to Seattle? What happened? It was a disaster for Seattle, really, when you look at it. You look at Whitworth, who just signed with the Rams. He left the Bengals. Bengals didn't want to pay him, signed with the Rams. What happened to the Bengals? Fell apart. It was a playoff team. What happened to the Rams? They were suddenly excellent. That's not all Whitworth, but he had something to do with that, right? Look at the Odell trade. When you step back and expand it, you forget that early on, the first piece of that trade was Zeitler going to New York. They don't protect well. And Greg Robinson, by the way, replaced really Joe Thomas on that line. That's a real huge downgrade. So they have line problems. We knew that was going to be an issue, especially early in the season, because the new guys have to learn how to play together, and they had a very tough schedule. Then you add to that Greedy Williams and Denzel Ward not playing. By the way, they have a bye, and it's like pulls it, like hamstring stuff. They should be back the following week. Considering the trajectory of the team, think of their week one against the Titans, how bad they looked, versus how competitive they've been against better teams since then. Their schedule, injury, the line play coming together, it's a little too early, because my prediction is still they're going to get white hot towards the end of this season.
This is a really difficult question to answer, if I'm honest, right? Like, I wish I could come out and come strong with something, because a couple things stand out. Like, one, Freddie Kitchens got the job for one reason, his impact on Baker Mayfield. He took Baker Mayfield, who was playing okay, and led him to breaking the rookie touchdown pass record, right? Took this offense that was not good last year, made him #1 in the NFL when he took over. And then I have to be honest and look at what are they right now? Because if you got the job because of Baker, Baker's not playing good football right now. So if you only got the job because of your impact on the quarterback, but yet the quarterback is really struggling right now, then why do you have the job? If you only got the job also because the offense took off, but yet the offense is struggling, then why do you have the job? And so I think that's the first part of this. The second thing is, it'd be so easy and so typical of the Cleveland Browns to just fire him right now. But who are you going to give the job to? Who is there to kind of take over and hopefully right it? I kind of liken it to this. We often talk about players, especially quarterbacks, right, that come into the NFL. And I often say, don't ask a quarterback to go from college into the NFL and learn how it's like to be an NFL player and learn what it's like to learn an NFL offense and NFL defenses and a new city, but also have the burden of winning football games. Like, that's the challenge as a rookie quarterback.
You're not putting any of the blame on Baker here?
No, Baker's playing bad. Absolutely. But what I'm trying to say is, like, I don't think it's time to fire Freddie. I think it's time for Freddie to allocate some responsibilities. And because so he can not have the burden of getting my offense to play well and getting my defense to play well and handling off the field, but also winning football games.
This subject, because of what you just said, is very important that I address this point because it's dicey and I don't want this left out there. I am not advocating that Freddie Kitchens should be fired. I am saying he wasn't the right coach to be picked for this team this season.
Okay, but what's the answer then?
But I'm just saying, you have to deal with the circumstances that you created. But I'm not saying that a man deserves to be fired after 6 games into his first year as head coach, and particularly not this guy. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying in hindsight, as we look at what ails this team, I think he was the wrong coach at this moment in time. That doesn't mean he won't be the right coach by the beginning of next season and moving forward.
I want to get into the Baker
I'm just saying they made the choice.
You know who looks like the right coach?
And Max go to. I'm saying they would have been better off keeping Greg Williams
I agree.
as the coach there for this season.
By the way,
that's what I'm saying.
How often do we see that in sports where the interim coach is doing well and they've made up their minds he's going to be an interim coach? If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
For some reasons, it works with quarterbacks. A quarterback, if you go undefeated with a quarterback, it's happening right now.
By the way, the same Greg Williams that beat the Cowboys yesterday is the defensive coordinator for the Jets. But
I want to get into Baker Mayfield for a second. And I want to get into the Rex Ryan sound. When Rex Ryan was critical of Baker went back at him. I was fine with that. But the one thing he said that I was like, that's extra. You don't need to go there. That's why I'm only worried about people wearing these colors. I'm not worried about anyone else's colors. And right now, he's not wearing any blame. To Rex Ryan's point, why is he saying, don't look over there? If you're the quarterback, you should say, no, look at me. I'm not playing well. I should be playing better. Because Baker Mayfield's capable of playing better.
But we can't have it both ways. And what I mean by that is we can't sit up there and continuously defer or refer to individuals. I'm not talking about Baker Mayfield in general. We religiously point out youth and how folks are young and they got to learn. Baker Mayfield is in his second year. Rex Ryan is not wrong with what he's saying. It's just that for a young guy with his personality, one that he had in college, it stands to reason that he's not going to say everything PC or everything. We got to understand that and let that slide because you knew what you were getting when you got him. He just has to play better.
Real quick, but that's what I mean. When Rex comes back at him, and it's like, Rex, you're piling on a little bit. Maybe it's got you guys are both in your feelings a little. But when Rex comes back and says, hey, he's talking about, like, you have to take responsibility as a quarterback. His original point with Baker was all right, and the way Baker went at him, the little very end where he says, you're not wearing anyone's colors, to me is kind of what Rex was talking about now.
Well, yeah, that's who Baker is, whether you like it or not. And I think what the NFL has proven to Baker over the last 4 weeks or 6 weeks is don't write checks that your butt can't cash. I think that's the reality. We call it humility and getting humbled. But I do think the point with Freddie Kitchens is this. If I'm the Cleveland Browns and Dorsey, I gave you this job because of what you did with my young quarterback and their offense. And now it's literally 180. The young quarterback is not playing good in the offense. That's like you coming on First Take and being mild-mannered and not wanting to say anything and being shy about saying something, strong. Like, then why do you have the job? And so that's the question that Cleveland is facing right now. To your point, Stephen A., is like, the configuration of Freddie Kitchens in that staff right now, we gave you that job because of this, but this is no longer the case.
And I guess my point is they could have left it as is. And what I mean by that is that just because this guy is doing a good job with Baker Mayfield, why would you elevate his level of responsibility as opposed to leaving him right where he is to continue to help this kid grow and have somebody else focus on the big picture?
This football team right now, this football team right now is on track to break the NFL record in penalties. No. That, to me, is alarming for a head coach.
I agree. It's not like I can pretend there's no smoke, right? But the extent of the fire is what I'm saying. And I said the early returns don't look good. I think we're a little bit premature here. If you look, they have a couple of wins on the season. They could easily be 3-4. Yeah. Right. They could easily be 3-3. And which is not great, but okay. And how do you address the fact that the secondary is missing right now, right? The offensive line, we knew there was going to be a transitional period. We knew that was going to happen. In addition to that, there's a first-year head coach, and they've played a tough schedule. But you can't. Now comes the cake of the schedule after the Bills.
That's why I said it's a very difficult question to kind of answer, but you can't run from the fact there's truth to this football team. They're bad on offense right now. They don't have an identity. They fluctuate every week. They were up 20-6 at home and lost, and they're on track to break an NFL record for penalties.
How many wins to say the coach didn't do a bad job this year?
I'm sorry?
What's the over-under to say at this point the coach didn't do a bad job?
Which coach? You talking about Freddie Kitchens specifically?
Yes.
What's the over-under?
What's the over-under for wins? They have 2 wins. They're 2-4. Is it 8 wins? Because to start the season, it was 9, right? Over-under was really about 9 wins.
If this football team wins 8 games, that is a massive disappointment.
I agree.
I would agree, except they're 2-4 right now. I would say the push has to 9 wins was a push. I think now 8 wins is a push.
Well, they definitely need to get the picks and fumbles under control.
Hold it. You didn't say they were going to win 9 games at the beginning of the season.
I said,
didn't you say they were going to win the division?
I took the over and took 10.
Okay. That's what I was going
to
say.
I'd say 9 would be a push.
All right.
Or 9.5. You could say 9 is even the under because 9.5 would be a push.
They're on a bye this week, so they got some time to get it together. Then they're at New England. More debate ahead. Is it time for Philly fans to worry about the Eagles and their star quarterback? Plus, is Dak's play actually costing him some big bucks from Dallas? And Stephen A., listen to this.
Stephen A., my friend. Happy birthday, man. I'm so excited for you. I hope it's an amazing birthday. God bless you, brother. I always enjoy our conversations. I enjoy your friendship and even the debates. It's always great. So happy birthday. Have a fantastic day. God bless you, man.